Today I would like to invite you to listen to the Dhammapada of the Buddha Shakyamuni. 144 verses from the Buddhist scriptures on the YouTube channel Thien Thai in the USA. Like a thoroughbred horse touched by the whip, even so be strenuous and zealous. By confidence, by virtue, by effort, by concentration, by investigation of the truth, by being endowed with knowledge and conduct, and by being mindful, get rid of this great suffering. The Blessed One spoke these words to awaken diligence and sincerity in those who long for freedom from suffering. In the days of the Buddha, disciples often struggled with inertia, distractions, and wavering commitment, believing that enlightenment could come without persistent effort. There was a young monk who had deep faith in the teachings, yet often found his mind wandering, his meditation shallow, and his practice irregular. He observed others progressing, and sometimes felt despair, thinking that liberation was beyond his grasp. The Buddha, perceiving the subtle hesitation in his heart, spoke this verse, comparing diligent practice to a thoroughbred horse touched by the whip, not to induce fear, but to illustrate the necessity of energy, vigilance, and sustained effort. The young monk reflected on these words, realizing that suffering cannot be removed through complacency, nor insight gained through idle faith alone. Confidence in the Dharma must be paired with virtue, which purifies conduct and stabilizes intention. Effort must be unceasing, applied wisely and consistently, not wasted in distraction. Concentration must deepen, allowing the mind to settle on wholesome objects and the understanding of impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and non-self. Investigation of the truth, or wisdom, sharpens discernment, revealing the causes of suffering and the path to its cessation. Knowledge and conduct act together, illuminating understanding while guiding daily life in skillful ways. Mindfulness preserves awareness in every moment, preventing distraction, aversion, and delusion. Through the consistent practice of these qualities, the disciple begins to experience a release from the great suffering that binds beings to repeated birth, aging, sickness, and death. The Buddha illustrated through this story that diligence is not punishment, but liberation, that effort is not burden, but the instrument of freedom. Just as a horse, trained and spirited, responds fully to guidance, so too must the practitioner respond with energy and care, turning each moment of life into an opportunity for growth, insight, and the cultivation of wholesome qualities. This verse reminds all beings that awakening is not accidental, not dependent on circumstance, but the fruit of confidence, virtue, effort, concentration, wisdom, and mindfulness applied continuously and lovingly. The Buddha's words transform the ordinary struggle of daily life into a conscious path where every thought, every action, every breath becomes a means to uproot suffering and nurture liberation. The young monk, inspired by this teaching, recommitted himself, practicing diligently, observing the mind, restraining unwholesome tendencies, and cultivating the qualities praised by the Buddha. Over time, he discovered that suffering diminishes when effort is applied correctly, that peace arises when the mind is focused, and that joy emerges naturally when wisdom guides conduct. The verse thus serves as both instruction and inspiration, urging all practitioners to meet life with energy and diligence, to cultivate wholesome qualities with care and awareness, and to pursue liberation with steadfast heart. knowing that the great suffering which binds beings can indeed be overcome through consistent, mindful, and virtuous effort. Just as the whip guides the thoroughbred horse to move with full strength, awareness, and skill. When the practitioner contemplates the teaching of this verse more deeply, it becomes clear that the energy described by the Buddha is not mere physical exertion, but a total alignment of body, speech, and mind toward liberation. The diligence of the thoroughbred horse is precise, responsive, and unyielding, yet guided by skill, awareness, and compassion, not by blind force. So too must the disciple cultivate energy that is steady, balanced, and rooted in understanding. Confidence arises from faith in the teachings, from the certainty that the path is known, and from direct experience of wholesome conduct. Without confidence, effort falters, mindfulness becomes erratic, and concentration weakens. Virtue provides the scaffolding for the mind, restraining unwholesome actions, guiding intentions, and purifying relationships with others. When one acts in accordance with the precepts, the mind is naturally at ease, and the heart opens to clarity and compassion. Effort is the fuel that sustains practice, not in a frantic or obsessive way, but through consistent attention. Through returning again and again to wholesome habits, through refining understanding in daily life. Concentration allows the mind to settle upon the true object of practice, whether it is the breath, a meditation object, insight into impermanence, or awareness of the arising and passing of phenomena. Concentration prevents distraction from pulling the mind into habitual patterns that strengthen suffering. Investigation of the truth, or wisdom, sharpens perception, revealing causes and conditions, clarifying the illusions of self, and illuminating the path of liberation. Knowledge and conduct, practiced together, ensure that understanding is not merely intellectual, but practical, guiding ethical action and the transformation of the heart. Mindfulness preserves awareness in every moment, ensuring that insight and energy are applied to present circumstances rather than dissipated in distraction, regret, or craving. These qualities work together like the muscles, bones, and senses of the thoroughbred horse, each dependent on the other to move swiftly, powerfully, and skillfully. In the life of a disciple, neglect of any one of these aspects weakens practice. Just as a horse cannot perform if one leg falters or if the senses are dull. The Buddha's analogy emphasizes both the urgency and the precision required in practice. Great suffering, the Buddha says, is not trivial or distant. It is the constant experience of beings caught in ignorance, craving, and aversion. Birth, aging, sickness, death, separation from loved ones, and contact with the unpleasant arise repeatedly, and only diligent, skillful, and mindful practice can gradually uproot their power over the mind. In the story of the young monk, we see the transformation that diligence brings. He did not wait for inspiration, external guidance, or miraculous insight to propel him forward. Instead, he applied effort consistently, cultivated virtue with awareness, deepened concentration, and investigated the nature of reality with patient observation. Over time, he noticed subtle shifts. Anger arose and passed without grasping. Desire appeared and faded without agitation. Doubt arose and dissolved under observation. The weight of habitual suffering began to lessen as mindfulness preserved awareness and concentrated effort guided his actions. In daily life, Effort manifests in simple yet profound ways. Speaking truthfully, refraining from harmful speech, attending to the needs of others, meditating steadily, observing the body and mind. All these actions, repeated with diligence and awareness, gradually eradicate the grip of suffering. The Buddha's words remind the practitioner that liberation is not granted by mere belief or devotion. It is earned moment by moment, breath by breath, decision by decision. Each instance of restraint, each conscious application of effort, is like a step forward in a long journey, a step that cannot be skipped, delayed, or replaced. Energy must be applied continually, with wisdom guiding action, mindfulness preserving attention, and concentration allowing the mind to deepen in insight. The thoroughbred horse responds instantly and fully to guidance, moving with power and grace, yet it is not hurried, strained, or chaotic. Similarly, the disciple must learn to cultivate energy that is neither reckless nor timid, neither complacent nor forced, but responsive, harmonious, and skillful. When confidence, virtue, effort, concentration, wisdom, knowledge, and mindfulness are fully integrated, the practitioner begins to perceive the fading of suffering not as a distant promise, but as a present reality. The heart becomes spacious, untroubled by past mistakes or future fears. The mind becomes clear, seeing the arising and passing of phenomena without clinging or aversion. The body rests in ease, free from unnecessary tension or agitation. In this state, even the most subtle traces of suffering are gradually dissolved, and the path of liberation is walked naturally, moment by moment. Like a well-trained horse responding perfectly to the guidance of its rider, moving steadily toward freedom, calm, and awakening. This verse, therefore, is not only an instruction but an encouragement, a call to meet life with full energy, clarity, and vigilance, and to use every faculty of body, speech, and mind in the service of uprooting the great suffering that binds all beings. Cultivating a life of mindful effort, virtue, and insight that transforms ordinary existence into the practice of liberation. As the practitioner continues to immerse themselves in this teaching, the subtle power of diligent effort becomes increasingly clear. The Buddha's analogy of the thoroughbred horse is not merely about urgency, but about complete engagement of body, speech, and mind, all coordinated with awareness and guided by wisdom. One cannot simply act or meditate haphazardly and hope that suffering will vanish. Insight and liberation arise only when energy is applied consistently, with mindful attention, ethical grounding, and deep investigation of reality. Confidence is the first pillar of this effort. Without faith in the Dharma, the mind wavers, attention drifts, and practice becomes sporadic. Confidence arises from observing the fruits of virtue, concentration, and wisdom in one's own life, and from recognizing the impermanence of suffering and the inevitability of karmic consequences. With this confidence, effort does not feel burdensome, but natural and purposeful, like the horse that senses the path and moves decisively without hesitation. Virtue provides the ethical foundation of this practice. The practitioner abstains from actions that cause harm to self and others, cultivating a life of integrity that sustains mind and heart. Each act of kindness, each word of truth, and each restraint of harmful impulses strengthens concentration, and sharpens investigation. Virtue is not merely a set of rules, but a living quality that shapes perception, stabilizes intention, and supports the development of mindfulness. Effort is the constant companion of diligence. The Buddha reminds us that effort alone is not enough. It must be applied skillfully and persistently. One cultivates effort through repetition, through returning to practice despite distraction or fatigue, through observing the arising and passing of desire and aversion, and through maintaining a steady, calm energy that does not burn out or collapse into laziness. Concentration allows the mind to settle, to perceive the subtle movements of thought, emotion, and sensation, and to develop the clarity necessary to recognize causes of suffering. Without concentration, investigation of truth becomes superficial and insight remains elusive. Concentration provides a stable ground from which wisdom can arise. Investigation of truth, or panna, allows the practitioner to see the nature of suffering, its causes, its cessation, and the path leading to that cessation. This investigation is not abstract theorizing, but direct observation, moment by moment, of the arising and passing of phenomena, of craving and aversion, of ignorance and understanding. Knowledge and conduct are inseparable, the one informs the other. Ethical conduct expresses understanding, while understanding guides conduct, creating a harmonious cycle that gradually purifies mind and heart. Mindfulness preserves awareness across all aspects of practice, allowing concentration and effort to be applied consistently, preventing distraction, and ensuring that wisdom is continually nurtured. The practitioner who integrates these qualities experiences a gradual release from suffering. The heavy weight of habitual craving, aversion, and delusion begins to lessen. The mind grows calm, the heart grows spacious, and the body rests in ease. Even when external challenges arise, criticism, hardship, sickness, or loss, the practitioner maintains clarity, responding skillfully rather than reacting impulsively. Like the thoroughbred horse, who moves swiftly and powerfully yet does not provoke the whip unnecessarily. The practitioner applies energy without haste, exercises skill without force, and acts with awareness without attachment. The journey is steady and unbroken, each moment an opportunity to deepen insight and cultivate virtue. The Buddha's story of the young monk illustrates the practical application of this teaching. By committing to diligence, observing ethical conduct, deepening concentration, investigating reality, and maintaining mindfulness, he gradually experienced the diminishing of suffering in his own life. He discovered that liberation is not a sudden event, but a continuous process of refining attention, nurturing virtue, and applying effort skillfully. Each obstacle became a teacher, each distraction an opportunity for awareness, and each moment of clarity a confirmation of the path. The verse thus calls all beings to awaken the inner energy necessary for liberation. It reminds us that effort must be combined with wisdom, virtue, confidence, and mindfulness. Without these qualities, energy alone may lead to frustration, burnout, or misdirected striving. With them, even the most subtle progress becomes powerful, gradually removing the layers of suffering that obscure the mind. Liberation arises not from external circumstances, but from the cultivation of these qualities within the heart. Like the thoroughbred horse guided by skillful hands, the practitioner moves steadily toward freedom, responding to conditions with agility, strength, and insight, yet without agitation or attachment. Each action, each thought, and each breath become an opportunity to apply effort in harmony with awareness, gradually uprooting craving, aversion, and ignorance. The Buddha's teaching emphasizes that this is not optional, but essential. Suffering will not remove itself, ignorance will not vanish on its own, and the mind will not naturally settle without consistent, diligent, and mindful application of effort in accordance with virtue, concentration, and wisdom. By embodying these qualities, the practitioner transforms ordinary life into the practice of liberation, every moment becoming a step toward the end of suffering, every action an expression of mindfulness, every thought a seed of wisdom. As the teaching comes to its quiet completion, the heart rests in the understanding that liberation is cultivated, not discovered by chance. The practitioner sees that confidence, virtue, effort, concentration, investigation of truth, knowledge, conduct, and mindfulness are not separate, but interwoven aspects of a single path. When they are applied together, suffering gradually diminishes, and the mind experiences freedom, clarity, and peace. The Buddha's analogy of the thoroughbred horse touched by the whip reminds us to apply energy with skill, to respond with awareness, and to move steadily toward awakening. Each moment is precious, each action an opportunity to uproot suffering, and each breath a chance to cultivate insight. Diligence becomes joy, effort becomes freedom, and the path itself becomes the embodiment of awakening. Thank you for watching my video. Namo Amitabha. I wish to bring this merit towards all disciples and sentient beings, all of whom will attain Buddhahood. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I really appreciate your time.